Yeah, bro.
Hey everybody, welcome to Goots' Wrestling Pod. I'm your host, Ray Goots, and this is our first episode on our Patreon, Goots Comedy. If you pay $5, you get the video version. There's also going to be some other perks in the weeks and the months ahead. But if you only want to support the podcast for $1, it's patreon.com, Goots Comedy. And there will be the link in the description. And with me is Andrew Lee. Andrew Lee, how are you?
I'm good. I'm the visual support. I'll
Yeah,
have to show nipple later.
yeah, there you go. He's going to
I'll
show
worth $5, guys. Got a little piece of
only
paper.
on the $5 feed do you see Andrew Lee's nipples. So
Yeah,
dollar
it's got little hairs growing
the dollar in the free feed, you don't see anything. So,
out. Yeah.
I think, but we're also gonna have some other podcasts, which I'm working on. So, if you're on the $5 feed and you're watching this, it's
Absolutely.
gonna get your money's worth. But before we talk about all that, we got to talk about SummerSlam '91. But before we talk about SummerSlam '91, which is the podcast, what's old is new again. In SummerSlam '91, Bobby Heenan is getting ready to introduce Ric Flair to the WWF. And today in 2023, Tony Khan has announced that he has signed Ric Flair to a multi-year deal to be in AEW, and AEW fans are pissed. What do you think about this?
Wait, they are pissed? The fans are pissed?
Yeah, they're pissed.
Oh,
On
I think
Twitter, I
it's
don't know how people feel.
understandable. I think it's understandable why they are pissed. This is the same group of people that are really mad at Ric Flair about the Dark Side of the Ring, playing right from hell. Remember?
Yeah, when he exposed
Um,
himself to those women. Yeah.
yeah. I think it
I
was
mean,
one woman, but multiple women, I'm sure, in his life. Yeah.
I mean,
Um,
Jeff Jarrett was bad enough. This is like real. Like, what do you do? Like, someone said it's crazy to sign a multi-year deal when you don't have multi-years left.
yeah, I know exactly. Yeah, that's true. That is a very good point. I don't know if he's got multi years left. So uh,
What's your opinion?
Tony Khan is he's a collector. We should understand, Ray. We're also fellow collectors. We understand, dude. If I was a multi-billionaire and it wasn't really my money, like if my dad gave me all this money and I don't have to worry about losing it, I would collect wrestlers too.
You
I
would.
think you would too. I think you would too. We're talking you gotta be like billionaire. Billionaire, you don't have a wife, you don't got no kids. You wouldn't be collecting wrestler?
I would, but I don't see any value in Ric Flair at this point in his life. I just think Ric Flair is a leech. I just think Ric Flair is the type of guy that comes to your party and drinks all your alcohol.
It's like he's a legend.
I mean,
When
yeah,
you
he's
when
a
you're
legend, but
you said like when you buy the head shrinkers action figure from Mattel, not really much value in it, but it doesn't matter. It's like you just you gotta complete your set, right? That's what he's trying to do. He's trying to complete his set, man. He's had Tully, he's had Arn. All now he's got Ric Flair. All he needs is to
you
get
gotta get Barry Windham out of
boom.
the hospital, then he can have.
Yeah, and then boom, he can say he's had all the four horsemen under his thing.
I mean, if they do like I guess I forgot he had. No, I think Arn left. Maybe that's why he finally signed Ric Flair because I don't think they get along anymore. I think Arn
I know
just.
Brock left. Brock Anderson's gone.
I think Arn was only there for his son, so maybe Arn took off too. Maybe that's why he signed Flair. I was thinking
Nepotism.
if they do like a promo battle between Brock and Brock and Flair would suck. Arn and Flair, I guess I could. It's just I don't see. I just like I kind of feel bad for these fans because they were fed a con. They were fed that they were going to get this progressive number two wrestling company where everybody's friends and at the end of the day, these are all carnies. Whether it's the Young Bucks, Hangman Page, CM Punk, Ric Flair, they're all carnies. And they were never going to do that. They took advantage of this guy, and they continue to take advantage of him. And it's basically you have TNA 2.0.
They were Tony Khan. If
They were
anything,
Tony Khan, and
they were Tony Khan. Yeah. How
this whole
great would have been if like they do a segment if like Ric Flair he meets like Arn Anderson and Arn Anderson does that stupid pulling out the finger guns at him. Oh, dude, top 5 wrestling moment of all time, right there, brother.
do it, brother. But no, I and then Big Show's gonna wrestle at Full Gear. He's gonna wrestle Will Ospreay.
Wait,
So
really?
It's gonna be
Wait, no. Are you making a joke? Or are you being serious?
no, it's gonna be a multi-man match with like Jericho, Kota Ibushi, and Big Show. I think Kenny Omega's also in the match versus the Don Callis Army family, whatever the fuck they're called. But Will Ospreay's in the match, so we're gonna see Big Show and Ospreay in the ring together.
Wait, was this mentioned last night? Because I don't see it listed yet.
Yeah, it was mentioned last night. Yeah,
Huh.
I mean, I didn't watch it. Somebody said at the end of the show, they said that the match in Full Gear will have Big Show and Ospreay in the same ring. So
How do you feel about that?
I don't see how people. I don't see how people get mad about that. I mean, I was mad when they signed Big Show 3 years ago, but they said he was going to wrestle. He's had only one match, so he's due for another match. So people are mad. People are mad about that too. But it's like you knew this was coming. You knew this guy was going to have another match. Like you should have been mad that they signed him. Everyone said what a great signing that was years ago, and now they're mad that the guy actually. It's in it. He was contracted to wrestle a few matches. He didn't wrestle at all in 2022, so it's time.
As of this moment, which is the day after 11th November 2nd, it's not listed as one of the matches. So I don't know if that's actually a thing. If it is, if Big Show is wrestling, I'm okay with it. That's pretty cool. Will Ospreay, because I've been sick. I've been watching a whole bunch of his matches from this year. This guy, what do you think he was ranked in the PWI 500?
Number 10 or something. Number
No,
one.
17. Dude, he's like the best wrestler in the world right now. He's ranked 17. Do you know Masha Slamovich was ranked higher than him?
Oh well, I would. Well, she did win the men's title. So.
Masha, they stupidly ranked Masha Slamovich like 2 or 3 places above Will Ospreay, and she's not even ranked as the number one female wrestler in their own top 500 like women's wrestlers. It's the dumbest thing. That thing is so stupid. Everything's carny in wrestling. It's
You
so
know, well,
dumb.
they kind of. I remember back in the day, it went by kayfabe. It went by so like Hogan would always be on the top, or Diesel would be by the top because by the logic is if you're WWE champion in '95, you're in the top, even though he's not really the top wrestler of 1995 if you just count the in ring. So
They
I don't know
made
if there's
Seth
still,
Rollins champion, and he trumped Roman Reigns. So I guess that's
I get yeah, I guess in kayfabe you can argue that because Seth defends the belt more than Roman.
I guess. You know
So
what I would say is Hogan should still be ranked number one, even right now, to this day, should be
he's
ranked.
still number one to me, and Bret Hart. So wait. Speaking of Hogan, check out this. Since we're doing video now, I always wear a shirt of a wrestler on the pay per view. What do you think of this? This is '91 Hogan, brother.
That's a little too much for me, but yeah, Hulk Hogan, yeah, right there,
The Hulkster.
the Hulkster.
Really quick though, before we jump again into '91 SummerSlam, the ratings. So they rushed MJF, Kenny Omega. The ratings were
On
dog.
collisions on Saturday,
By the way, the
October
biggest
28th.
besides New Year's Eve, maybe the busiest party Saturday. I don't know if New Year's Eve's on a Saturday, but probably the busiest party Saturday of the year. The Saturday
Yes.
before Halloween.
The Saturday before Halloween, absolutely.
And they put that match on that Saturday, which was insanely stupid. But I'm like, all right, so they put this match on that Saturday. It's gonna be a short match. It's gonna be a screw job. It's gonna be an angle. No, they made these guys go out and kill themselves for 30 minutes, which made me think that didn't impress me. It just made me think everyone involved is a moron. Like, why would you kill yourself? Why would you destroy your body having a match like that when no one's watching and nobody?
Well, as Eddie Kingston would say, because we love wrestling, partner. Now, where's my slice of cake?
Where's my cake? I'm Eddie Kingston. All right. So yeah. So what do you think about them rushing that stupid match?
100% they try to do it to try to do a ratings gap. This is what I think. Tony Khan knew he knew that's gonna be a really tough Saturday because party Saturday, and he was like, if I book this dream match, it doesn't matter how many days notice I give it. It doesn't matter if there's no storyline behind it. If I just book this dream match, people will still watch. That's probably what he was thinking.
Nobody.
He was a moron, yeah, because that's not how wrestling works. You still got to do a job of promoting and doing a storyline. It's part of promoting and wrestling, and doing it, announcing it 3 days before it's supposed to happen is not really doing a good job as well. So he another piece of cake he has to eat. of Eddie Kingston's. Basically, this is a stupid idea. Dumb.
It's just such
Fans
a bad.
win.
It's also such a bad look to kind of dunk on Vince McMahon for sexual harassment charges, then go and hire Ric Flair a week later. Like it's like, like
Good point. Good point.
like either you're this moral liberal fucking business owner or you're a scumbag. And my thing is this: Tony Khan's a scumbag. He doesn't want to admit it. The fans don't want to admit it. The sooner we all admit that he's just as big of a scumbag as everybody else, he's a loser who never left his basement. I don't care that he's a billionaire. Then we can move on. Because it's like, but also like don't call out Vince's alleged crimes and then hire another guy with more alleged crimes and also alleged racism. He's been accused of saying the N-word. He banned Hulk Hogan. My thing with this, Hulk Hogan never sexually assaulted anyone. All his sex was willing. All right, he said the N-word, so did everybody else.
All his sex was willing.
Yeah. Everyone wanted to have sex with the Hulkster. Hulkster didn't have to force himself.
Who does it, brother?
Come on, dude. So it's like the reason why people don't like Hogan is because Dave Meltzer fooled all of you into thinking he's a bad worker. So I've noticed this. The Dave Meltzer
and he lies a lot. Hogan lies a lot.
Yeah, but they all lie a lot, bro. I mean, literally, come on, dude.
Hogan is like the fucking. Not only is he like the best wrestler, he is like the best at lying.
It's because he has the most. It's because he gets interviews.
He lies so much, dude.
If Greg Valentine got to do the number of podcasts Hulk Hogan did, he'd be caught in like 97 lies. You don't think Greg Valentine lies?
I guess you're right.
What was I gonna say? Dave Meltzer has convinced people bad worker equals bad person. He's convinced people of that, and it's not true. It has no reflection on what type of person you are. But Dave Meltzer and Tony Khan are like that. There's always this narrative.
You know what that is, right? You know what it is, right? You know what that is, right?
Stutter's like a fucking idiot.
It's such a weird. He's the one who kind of like made that popular, but he beat it into people's heads for years. That Kevin Nash is an awful human being, but like Chris Benoit was like this amazing person, and the opposite's true because Kevin Nash didn't murder his family, but it's this weird narrative the wrestling. I never got that.
I heard bad things about that kid.
Oh, yeah, that's true. But no other sport do you people assume that you're a good person because you're good at sports, or I don't know.
Actually, no. That people think the same thing about most sports. They think Derek Jeter is a fucking great human being. He gave herpes to like so many people.
I know, but he won. He won World Series.
But,
I know
he's a Yankee. He's a Yankee captain. So like,
this one guy I know has such a man crush on him. It's kind of pathetic. It's like,
really? Did you ever see the Derek Jeter herpes tree?
No, I never see the Derek Jeter herpes tree. Is that in Central Park? Is there like a plaque?
No. It's somebody on the internet made like almost like a tree showing you the spread of the herpes from Derek Jeter because he dated multiple people, and they then dated other people, and then there's spread of herpes, and there's pictures of them with little fucking herpes on their face.
Well, I'll tell you where the herpes tree started. I think it's in Madison Square Garden in 1991, SummerSlam 91. It's so great to be back to old school WWF after 3 okay to shitty WCW UWF shows. I was surprised how good this show was. I mean, I always thought it was okay, but I was surprised how fucking really it was actually a really good show. What did you think about it?
Man, I when I was a kid, I really wanted to watch this. I didn't watch any pay-per-views growing up because my family didn't have the money for it, but I always wanted. This is like the first like real card that I remember because I got the magazine that they had a magazine previewing this entire SummerSlam, and I had a magazine for it. And I really wanted to watch a bunch of these matches, and now that I finally saw it, I will say that it definitely matched my expectations. It was. I think SummerSlam 1991 is worth watching if you have a nostalgia for the 90s. 100%. It's worth watching. You'll have a good time.
I remember this show being good. I don't remember it being this good. I was like, did they re-film this? Because this is better than what I remember. You know what I mean?
Really? When you were a kid, you didn't think it was that good?
Well, it's kind of because this comes close to the era where they start downgrading Hogan, so that annoyed me. This is kind of like the last show before they really start the downgrade of Hogan. You know what I mean?
I see.
And so like to me, I kind of associate that show with that era, and that's when I started losing interest. And also Warrior quits after this show, so that also he got fired. He didn't quit. He got fired. And that also like I was very excited for the Jake the Snake Warrior storyline. And then when he just vanished and they moved into Macho Man and Sid Vicious, that kind of turned me off because I was invested in Warrior and Jake having a feud. Well, it was supposed to be Warrior, Jake, and Undertaker having this big feud, and Warrior gets fired, and they don't do it.
See, this is like where my wrestling memory really becomes like not cloudy, but like actually really remember the stuff before this. I remember pockets of it. It's like because I was too young. I was just like, oh, I think I kind of remember something like this. This is the first one where I remember like almost the entire card from like back when I was a kid. It's the first one that I have a full memory of, and it is actually for me. It's like the prime era for me. I can see what you're saying. It's like a downgrade of Hogan, but man, he's been like at this point, he's been like at the top for like close to 10 years. This time,
I know, but at the time, I needed 10 more years. So it didn't matter to me. Like it was like it wasn't time for
Hogan. I need Hogan at the top for 10 more years. 20 years, brother. 20 years.
Yeah, I just wasn't ready to move on from him, and I lost a lot of when he left in '93. I lost all interest. They lost me for a while. They lost me for a while.
Hey, you were such a Hogan fan. I didn't realize you were.
But also the way they downgraded Savage. It was like I wasn't ready for these guys to move on, and they moved on. I think they moved on way too fast from a lot of the guys that are on top. This
Savage is gonna still be on the top for the next year or two.
Yeah, I know, but then like they don't let him wrestle, and then like he quits and he goes to WCW, and then like they kind of like Vince and Jake get into it, and Jake quits. Like I kind of who else? The Legion of Doom. That gets weird, but I guess that's drug related. It's just a lot of guys that I wanted to see. I expected a few more years out of leave. Like within the next year, the Legion of Doom is gone. Jake is gone. Hogan's gone. He comes back for a little bit. Sid Justice is gone. Who else has got a fucking? This guy doesn't matter. But the Warlord is gone. I know no one cares about that. But like,
I have kind of a theory on why he also does push these guys down a little bit more.
The drugs.
It's because like once it's not just the drugs, but like because of the drugs, he has to push smaller guys.
Yeah.
Right. And if you have guys like Hogan and Macho Man at the top with guys like Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart at the top at the same time, they're gonna overshadow guys like Bret and Shawn, 100%.
I know, but like,
yeah, that's why too. It's like, hey, if I want to go with these younger, smaller guys, I can't have these other guys there at the same time at the top because it fucking makes them look bad. If I want to go with them, I have to push these other guys down, and if I'm in that same position, I'm gonna do the same exact thing.
I mean, he is fighting for his life, so it's like it doesn't matter that like
exactly. Yeah,
he would have. He might have gone to prison if he didn't play his cards right. So, I mean, I kind of get it, but also like I'm not gone yet, but I'm in the way of leaving. But then hey, they got me back in '98, and I'm doing this shit with you, and I'm 42 years old.
Yeah,
so.
Look at this.
So he won at the end of the day. What else do I want to say about this?
Yeah, there's nobody else on this planet that I've given more money to than stupid ass Vince McMahon Jr.
And he doesn't. He's happy.
I can't believe I've given this guy so much of my own fucking money. Jeez.
Yeah. So yeah. So let's get into it. Then. Let's talk about the show. Yeah. Let's get into it.
Let's go over to metadata first. Summerslam 1991. It's Match Made in Heaven, Match Made in Hell. Takes place August 26, 1991 in Madison Square Garden, New York City. 20,000 people are there. This is 4,000 more than WrestleMania 7 from a couple of months ago. So this actually outdraws WrestleMania. The SummerSlam.
New York always loved the pay-per-views, man. New York.
Yeah, man. Yeah. This is SummerSlam's one of the big four. What would you rank it in the big four? I would rank it third after.
At this point, it was second. because the Rumble, they really didn't adhere to like. Remember, there was no stakes at the Rumble. Shortly it becomes third, but right now I would say it's second in this era.
Yes, right at this point it's second, but now I would easily say it's third.
I would
I
say
would
around
even
90,
say
between 94 and 98, this becomes third. Yeah.
Survivor Series will always be fourth.
Yes, that was always fourth.
There was always a time. There was even a time where I thought King of the Ring was more important than Survivor Series. It just felt more important.
I mean, we'll see. I stayed away from a lot of King of the Rings, so we'll see when we watch them.
I love the King of the Ring. I just love saying it. All right, Vince McMahon Jr. welcomes us to the show in only the way he can. Talks about the match made in heaven, talks about the match made in hell, and we got on commentary Gorilla Monsoon with Roddy Piper and Bobby Heenan. There's gonna be three, and Roddy Piper, to his credit, is super over. People are fucking chanting his name. We're gonna go right into our first match. The Dragon, Ricky Steamboat comes out. Call him the Dragon. He's got the full Dragon regalia with the fucking scales and all that shit, carrying on a flame, a torch, and he does the fucking fire breathing thing, which I loved. Do you think Vince McMahon paid for him to like take fire breathing lessons and stuff?
Yeah. Bruce Pritchard talked about that on this podcast, Something to Wrestle.
Yeah. So he could probably still do that even today.
He was doing it in WCW. I mean, like that was a funny thing. Like I if you think about it, it's kind of ridiculous to make the guy dress up like a real dragon. It's like if Jake Snake came back, or like let's say, you know how they call Randy Orton the Viper? What if he was like dressed like a giant viper? Like when he walks out, he's like this viper hat thing on his head. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of stupid, but like he kept it. He kept it going.
I disagree, brother. I think if Randy Orton did that, the Garden is selling out tonight. I'm telling you that right now.
Is like a viper on his head, like a he's wearing a hat with a viper.
Damn, bro, you should fucking submit this. Yeah, man, we got the scale jacket with the.
Can you imagine he like shows up like because let's say the rumor is going to return to Survivor Series, so he shows up at Stanford today to be like, I'm excited for my return, and they like hand him this viper mask. They're like, here you go, you're gonna be the viper.
Yeah.
He's like, you're joking, right? They're like, no.
So, when I was a kid, I fucking loved this dragon outfit, dude. I fucking loved it, dude. I thought it was the coolest thing. And the fact that he's like fire breathing, it's cool as hell. But the dragon is gonna be in a 6-man tag with Texas Tornado and a British Bulldog, and they're gonna be facing Slick Stable of the Warlord Power and Glory, who the heels do not get an entrance. Most of this match, Ricky Steamboat is getting worked on. The heat's put on him because he sells the best. There is a fun spot where fucking Warlord, like Davey Boy Smith, he jumps off the second turnbuckle and Warlord catches him, and then like fucking he turns around and Texas Tornado does his finisher, the tornado punch, and he falls and Davey falls on him, but he kicks out of it. So he kicked out of Texas Tornado's finisher. So I was like, I like that. They try to make the Warlord look strong. Ultimately, Ricky Steamboat hits the crossbody on Paul Roma for the win, and the crowd is happy. I think this was a very crowd-pleasing opener. I liked it. What about you?
It was a fun opener. Good. I think he had plans. Well, I don't think he had plans anymore for Texas Tornado, but he definitely had plans for Ricky Steamboat and British Bulldog at the time. So it's a fun little way to showcase them. Man, he's over Power and Glory. You could just tell he's fucking over them.
I wasn't, brother. I still love that.
Hercules, but Hercules looks like he's gained a lot. His face got way fatter between WrestleMania and this show. He was hitting the McDonald's. I think he knew like Vince doesn't believe me anymore.
That's too bad because I think there could have been money in that guy.
There could have been money in Power and Glory, but he fucking for a reason he was done with it at this point.
Yeah, there could have been money in all 6 of these guys. Honestly, really, all.
Well, one of them's dead within a year, so.
Yeah. Who?
Or
Texas?
2 years. 2 years.
2 years. Yeah. But you know what? This is what every pay-per-view needs. They just need like a fun opening match that's crowd pleasing. You know what I'm saying? Just start off like that. Just WCW should take lessons on this.
Yeah.
Anyways, Sean Mooney, he's in the back with Mr. Perfect, and Mr. Perfect cuts a great promo on Bret Hart, saying he's excellent self-execution, but he's not perfect. I'm perfect, and that's why he's gonna lose. Great promo. It's quick, right to the point. Match number 2. I couldn't believe this match was number 2. The Intercontinental Championship match. Bret Hart versus the champion, Mr. Perfect, who comes out with the coach. A couple of months ago,
he was at UWF.
He was supposed to be. He never showed. Remember?
Oh, that's right. Well, when Bobby Heenan said, "I'm not going to go to the ring anymore," they brought in. He also managed the Beverly Brothers, the coach.
Wait, how come Bobby he didn't want to go to ring anymore?
His neck was bothering him too much.
Oh, from taking all those because he would have to take a bump and all that shit.
Yeah, so he just
absolutely.
went full time to the booth.
Yeah, that's smart. I mean, Bobby Heenan would take bumps. And Coach is gonna take a bump, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, they show. Coach is also a former wrestler. I hated this guy when I was a kid
Because
He
it
was
just
so
seems like a
annoying.
discount Bobby Heenan.
Yeah, discount Bobby Heenan. Yes,
Dollar
very
store.
discount. Yes, fucking from like a different country, dollar store. So Bobby Heenan. I didn't realize this, but right off the bat, they showed you Bret Hart's parents. They were doing this whole parent thing even back then. I didn't realize that.
Mhm.
I thought they started doing the parent thing back when he was champion, like the world champion. But they were doing
No,
this.
they start. This is the first pay. I don't know if they did this on regular TV, but this is the first pay per view they make a point to be like, "There's his parents." Well, his father was a legend in certain circles, so I think Vince had some reverence towards the dad. So
Oh, okay. Because I hate this shit where they constantly show the parents. It makes this guy look like
no, because I kind of feel like it leads eventually into the Owen Hart storyline, where because the mom throws in the towel at Survivor Series.
yeah. No, it leads to a lot of things. Yeah.
It leads to a lot of things, so I don't mind it because it's like long. It's kind of like the Miss Elizabeth thing. It's a long-term storytelling, but you're not thinking about it. Like you're just like, why are they showing this guy's parents? And then
Yeah,
like eventually it plays into stuff.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So on commentary, Bobby Heenan and Piper, they really get into it. Like they're just like, they bicker a lot. And Gorilla Monsoon is the guy in the middle, and he'll tell like Roddy Piper, hey, I'll take care of it. And then he like fucking will tell Bobby Heenan to like knock it off and stuff. Let me tell you, adding Bobby Heenan to commentary was it was the missing piece. It was like the perfect missing piece.
Yeah.
This is a very like it started making me understand remember this is when Roddy Piper is good at commentary. He needs that extra person to play off of,
He needs
someone
he needs like someone to be aggressive against.
yeah, because when it's just him and that's just the straight man commentator, it's terrible because it's just like him like going crazy and then the guy just trying to call the match. Where if you have an extra person who like plays off of him and argues with him and takes shots at him, it's just works really well. And I was so glad they had this. Really reminded me of how much I really enjoyed Roddy Piper on commentary when I was a kid. But that was when it was Superstars and he did have that extra person.
Yeah, well, it was him and Savage with Vince.
Him and Savage, and him and Savage. I thought that was very good.
Dude, that's like that's like that's like today Raw kicks off and Seth Rollins and like Roman Reigns are now like the commentators. You know, like what?
Very weird. No, yeah, or like someone who's like going down the card, like maybe like an AJ style.
Okay, let's say AJ and John Cena are now the new commentary team.
Yeah, or AJ and The Miz or something.
I love that we just accepted it as kids. We're just like, okay. Like the two of the biggest stars.
I actually, when I was a kid, I thought it was weird that they were like Mr. Perfect was somehow on commentary one day and stuff.
But I kind of liked it. I kind of looked at it like when you're taking a break from wrestling, you become a commentator until you're ready to go back.
Yeah, I thought like maybe they were injured and stuff, which actually I'm not exactly wrong about that. Because like Mr. Perfect would be injured.
Well, it made sense for Macho Man to be a commentator because he was forced into retirement. So it's like, well, I don't want to quit. I don't want to quit this company, so I'll do commentary.
Yeah.
You
know? You know what's WWE's had so many memorable commentary teams. It's ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had one in a while. But yeah.
So many combinations. You got like your Ventura and Gorilla Monsoon, Gorilla and fucking Heenan, right? Ventura and Vince McMahon, fucking Randy, Vince, and fucking Piper, Randy, Vince, and Perfect, Jerry Lawler, and fucking
Jim Ross, Jerry Lawler, Michael Cole, and Taz. Honestly, after Michael Cole and Taz, I like Michael Cole and JBL, but after Michael Cole and JBL, there's no team that I like until Michael Cole and Pat McAfee.
Pat McCaffrey, yeah. I
right.
like Booker T and Vic Joseph on NXT.
I gotta watch. I only saw one episode.
Booker T is like all over the place, and Vic Joseph has to like try to rein him in. It's fucking great. But anyway, you know what else is great? This fucking match. This fucking fantastic match. Mr. Perfect versus Bret Hart Intercontinental Championship match. In this match, very early on, Mr. Perfect tries to take a powder and leave the ring. Fucking Bret goes and fucking like grabs him by the tights, rips Mr. Perfect's tights. Was this planned or do you think this was an
I
accident?
think that was an accident.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he really fucking rips it. And they bring him back to the ring, and this is kind of like where Mr. Perfect actually starts getting the upper hand. And he starts wailing on Bret Hart for the heat. There is a spot where they're both kind of at the top rope, and then the top turnbuckle, and they both fucking fall. And Mr. Perfect kind of lands on top of Bret Hart, and fucking Earl Hebner, the referee, just kind of stares at them. And you see Mr. Perfect like mouth something to him, and then and then Hebner like snaps out of it, and he goes and he starts counting the cover, and then he kicks out, and afterwards, Mr. Perfect kind of like shoves Hebner. I think he looks annoyed, but then like they do a shoving match. So I don't know if it was planned or not, but it looks funny where he's like they're clearly in a pinning position, but like you see him mouth like go for the covers, like count the cover. But anyway, eventually what happens is Bret Hart he puts a leg lock, has a leg lock on Mr. Perfect while they're both laying on the mat, and then he turns it over and turns it into a sharpshooter for the win. After he wins, he rips off Mr. Perfect's tights completely, and this was a fantastic match. What do you think about this match? This is actually probably my second time watching this match. It's very good. I like it.
This is on this journey. This is probably like one of my favorite matches since fucking Randy Savage, Ricky Steamboat. It's real, and you know what it is? It's a coming out party for Bret Hart. It's a statement by Bret Hart that he's ready to be given the ball, and it's just a fantastic match. It's just really good. It's a promise of what's to come. It's almost like, I know they say our show is like just like clown wrestling, cartoon wrestling, but look at what the future could potentially be. Look at how fucking we blew away anything WCW is doing. These two guys. So like,
wait, who said it's clown wrestling?
That used to be what NWA fans or WCW fans would say. Like it was like shitty wrestling compared to WCW. WCW was real.
I disagree. The first two matches alone, I would make them say, "You sure about that?" Right?
Yeah, exactly. So this
I'll be
was
like, I get it, guys. It's no scaffolding match, but
and I also feel like no. I also feel like it's like a mission statement from Vince, from Bret Hart, that like it's not gonna be, if you stay with us, like we're on the road to like real wrestling. Like this is who the guy is gonna be. And man, like he was given an opportunity and he over delivered Bret Hart. What a fantastic performance.
This was one of the matches when I was a kid, I really wanted to watch. When I had the magazine, I really wanted to see Mr. Perfect versus Bret Hart, and I did not know it. I really was like, man, Mr. Perfect's really fucking good. I don't think this guy can beat him. That was really what I was thinking.
Mr. Perfect also, like he was having a lot of back pain, so this was going to be his last match for a while, and he was in a lot of pain, but he had the match to make sure that Bret Hart got over. Because if Mr. Perfect just disappeared, they did a tournament, I don't think Bret Hart would have got over.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Bret Hart has acknowledged that too.
Yeah.
Like he said, he never forgot. He'll never forget what this guy did for him.
It's just I know after this match, as a worker, I don't think Mr. Perfect is. There's two guys who are never the same after this show, and one of them is Mr. Perfect, and the other one is Ultimate Warrior. They're never the same. Like Roddy Piper was never the same after 3. Those two guys, like Mr. Perfect, when he comes back, his work rate is less and less, and until he's like a shell of himself in WCW. Same thing with Warrior. Like after this event, he never quite gets where he was, ever, and then he dies.
Yeah. After this match, Lord Alfred Hayes, he's in the stands. He's with Stu Hart and his wife, Helen Hart. And he's trying to get Stu to talk on the microphone. He's like, Stu, I want to ask you. But while he's trying to talk, Bret Hart comes over and he starts hugging both his parents. So Stu's actually not talking to Alfred. And Alfred's really trying to get his attention. So Alfred starts tugging on Stu's arm like, hey, man, can you just talk to me about, tell me what you think about Bret Hart's win. And finally gets Stu's attention, and he asks him that question, and Stu says, It's wonderful. And as he keeps talking, Alfred just takes the mic away and he goes, he's speechless. He's lost for words. And you gotta see the look on Stu Hart's face, like this motherfucker.
Yeah,
That shit was so funny to me.
he's speechless.
He asked him, he's clearly bothering this guy who wants to hug and congratulate his son. Then he turns to him and he goes, I think it's wonderful. And he goes, he's speechless. He just pulled the microphone away from him. Very funny. Oh, that Lord
I like though that Alfred's trying to get it feels like a more real moment that like this family is just like we just want to celebrate. Like we don't even want to talk to you. You know what I mean? Feels like
Lord
a very
Alfred Hayes, he's the guy who gets accused by Roddy Piper of touching his, putting his dick in his hand or something, right?
what?
Roddy Piper, in his autobiography, which was published independently of WWE,
Yeah.
talks about how he used to get hazed and harassed coming up, right? And one of the guys was Lord Alfred Hayes. He never liked Lord Alfred Hayes. And there's a story where one time he was in the locker room and one of the veteran wrestlers called him over and was like, hey, I want to give you some lessons. And he starts talking to him and Roddy's like really listening, but he has his hands behind his back, right? Like kind of like holding his hand behind his back. And he feels something in his hand. So he squeezes it and he hears a grunt and he turns around and it's like, I think it's Lord Alfred Hayes put his dick in his hand. Right?
Oh, that's a nice guy.
And
I
there's
don't. I didn't hear that. So if you're telling me he wrote that, then it must be true. So
yeah, I don't know if he says it's Lord Alfred Hayes, but I know he had a problem with Lord. There's even a moment where he slaps Lord Alfred Hayes on TV, like really hard.
yeah, I don't think Lord Alfred Hayes. I don't know. I don't really know a lot about him, but I don't think he's like this charming little hello everyone, welcome to New. I think he's a bit more of a piece of shit. But I don't really. I like the Lord Alfred Hayes. I think they should have a little British gentleman. They should have Nigel McGuinness become the new Lord Alfred Hayes. Hello, well, I'm Nigel McGuinness. Hello, it's time to interview Roman Reigns. Tally ho! Like I don't know.
By the way, if you Google Lord Alfred Hayes harasses or Hayes's Roddy Piper, there's a whole bunch of shit all over the internet.
Oh, and I guess it's true. Yeah, I didn't know.
Yeah. That is very funny. This guy, yeah, because he comes off like such a nice man, right?
It's just the accent. It fools us as Americans.
Yeah,
we assume you're smarter and nicer than you actually are when you have that accent.
Exactly. Yes.
When you're in reality, you're like just a fucking loser.
So after this, we get a promo for the Hulk Hogan A Real American Story pay-per-view. Did you watch this when you were a kid?
Well, that's not on my. When I watched it on DVD, I didn't see that commercial. So.
Oh, okay.
But all it is, it's just the best of his.
I think you can find it on YouTube now for free.
Yeah.
By the way, Mean Gene Oakland. He is with Andre the Giant and the Bushwhackers. Mm-hmm. And they're kind of recapping what happened, the fallout between Jimmy Hart and Andre the Giant, and how Earthquake attacked Andre the Giant. And I was like thinking, wait, Andre picked the Bushwhackers to help him get revenge against the fucking natural disasters? I was like, he picked, out of all the teams, he picked the Bushwhackers against those two big fucking monsters.
Yeah, because they know the best bars, so that's why.
God damn, Andre. And this is match number 3, guys. Natural disasters, Earthquake and Typhoon with Jimmy Hart versus the Bushwhackers with Andre, who comes out with the fucking crutches. Ugh, that's sad.
Mm-hmm. Pretty sad.
Bobby Heenan, during this match, he will leave commentary. He goes, I just found out Hogan's here now. I'm going to go talk to him. So he fucking leaves commentary, which we're going to come back to later on. In this match, Earthquake, he basically does the Earthquake splash on one of the whackers for the win. This match was 2 minutes too long. This was like...
this was the first, there's 2 matches that you're like, on this show. This is the first one. But you know what? Hey, it's getting over this new team, so...
You know what? Yeah, this is like one of those matches where like the NWA fans will see like, see clown wrestling.
I don't care what Bret Hart did. Look at this Bushwhacker match. I'm right.
But to their credit, it does lead to a angle because at the end, the natural disasters look to attack Andre the Giant in his weak state when LOD, Legion of Doom, come out to fucking protect Andre the Giant and they have a stare off with natural disasters. So I will give them that credit, that part.
Yeah, because they're setting up because the Legion of Natural Disasters, they feud until January, so they're setting
Oh
up.
yeah, they're already planting them seeds, and I like that. I love it when you should. I think every pay per view should have that, where you're planting seeds for the next 100%.
That's when people used to plan ahead. No one plans ahead anymore. So
People kind of do
especially
that.
Tony Khan, the Con Man.
I'm trying to think of an example, recent example where they do shit like that in America. Then I'm trying to think.
Oh,
In
Kenny
both
Omega,
WWE,
MJF.
they even do that in WWE.
I think I could see them. I don't think they plan for LA Knight to be where he is right now. I think but that happens so naturally. You have to go with it.
Yeah. God, I hope he wins. I think if you have LA Knight win, I would surprise everybody because everyone's expecting him to lose.
No one's even giving a chance. I
No,
think
this is why you should do it because nobody's giving him a chance.
and also it's like this whole record thing. Vince didn't have Hogan. If Hogan didn't get over, let's say it's 1985 and nobody gives a shit about Hogan, Hogan would have lost the belt. Like he didn't he's not thinking to himself in the 80s, I want Hogan to have this belt to beat Bruno's record. He's just like, hey, this is working, I'm gonna do this. And I kind of think like now LA Knight, you did a lot to establish LA Knight as your guy. You had Cena use basically his retirement run to put over LA Knight, and it's like, hey man, you have this guy who like was the top star for like 20 years, putting all his efforts behind LA Knight. The last thing you have to do is have him beat Roman, and then you're good to go. If he doesn't beat Roman, you're wasting everybody's time.
That's why I think it might happen. I'm being serious. I think there's that percentage. Speaking of belts,
and he could always. But here's the deal: he could always. I would have him win, and then around Christmas time, have him lose it back to Roman, and still do Roman Cody. I don't think if Roman loses, it takes away anything from the match with Cody.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so either. Speaking of belts, we get Bobby Heenan. He's in the back, walking towards Hogan's dressing room. He starts banging on the door. He's got the WCW World Title in his fucking hands, and the door opens and he says, on behalf of the real world's champion, Ric Flair, I am challenging you to a match. The door slams in his face. The bell falls. Heenan's angry and goes, you wouldn't do that if Ric Flair was here. So this is not the first time on WWF TV that Heenan shows the belt and mentions the name Ric Flair. But the fact that it's happening and he's even going to Hogan's locker room and stuff, it's a big deal. This is a very big deal. This is like if you know what this is like? This is like if Tozawa, this is like if Nick Aldis went up to like Roman Reigns. Yeah.
Tozawa? This is like if Tozawa had a match.
This is like if Nick Aldis went up to Roman Reigns and held up like the AEW World Title and was like, MJF is challenging you to a match. It's like, what the fuck is happening here? You know? Pretty cool. It's a pretty cool moment,
I mean, it's just wild. I don't know. I don't understand like why they didn't just tell Jim Herd to like pack up his suitcase as soon as they aired the first promo. It's just wild that they're parading around the WCW title on this show.
I don't care who's wrong in that argument between Jim Herd and Ric Flair. The fact that Jim Herd is basically allowed this kind of thing to happen, right? Because he 100% should be. They were in every right to let him go. Because,
but I mean, it doesn't happen because of this. It happens because of something else. But they literally should have fired him the moment.
No. But it's a whole extension because of this, right? Yeah. If Jim Herd was going to have this argument with Ric Flair, where Ric Flair was walking out, he should have never fucking let it get to the point where the belt of your company is and the other fucking company thing.
Can you imagine if
100% should have been? I don't care. There's no defense to that. He's an idiot. Jim Herd's an idiot.
No, can you imagine like if Triple H and Roman Reigns have a fight tomorrow night and somehow Roman Reigns can legally show up on Collision with the title? I just think Triple H would be fired. Like,
yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. Jim Herd doesn't matter who's. I don't care if like Jim Herd's right that Ric Flair needed to change himself. He 100% needed to be fired. It's like I don't think we'll ever see anything like this ever again.
No, because I think they thought Ric Flair didn't have the balls to do this, and he did, and they had to beg him to come back. Like he still was able to come back and like win the. Like it's just crazy because he's the king. He's Captain NWA. He's it's like Superman going to Marvel and being like "fuck you, Batman." You know what I mean? It's like crazy.
Oh, dude.
And
Every year
I think part
I
of
read
something.
rumors. Every year that I read rumors that they're trying to sell Warner Brothers, I'm like, please Marvel buy fucking DC.
But
Please
what I'm
Marvel.
it's just like I think some people thought, oh, he doesn't have the guts, and he doesn't have the guts, and the fact that he went hard, bro. It's not like I made it like Cody Rhodes just made the jumps. Like, no, I love everybody in AEW. Ric Flair fucking jumped. He did a hard jump. He did like I'm gonna ruin your company jump. Like
He risked everybody's job.
yeah,
Basically.
but it paid off. I mean, it pays. I mean, it pays off. It pays off in a big way in a few months. But we'll get to that with the Royal Rumble '92. I mean, it pays off. If he didn't go to WWF, I don't think he would have the reverence he has now. I think it's
This
that.
is one of the reasons why people should watch this pay-per-view, because little moments like this, it's like it's so surreal. You would think you're never going to see something like this ever again. So it's worth watching.
And I love the fact that they do it and then they just kind of move on with the show. They don't like act like it's the end of the world that Ric Flair's coming. They just kind of like Ric Flair's coming, and then they just go on to the next match.
If you're a younger fan, you're probably not thinking this might be a big deal because right now WWE does own WCW.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, these were two completely separate companies owned by two completely different groups.
Yeah.
And this is like, it's like having the Bellator champion show up at UFC or something like that. You know, it's just like with the belt.
I think the closest is if Roman Reigns walked out on AEW with the belt. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, one of them, something like that.
Or MJF.
Anyway.
Yeah. With the belt.
Macho Man, he's talking on the phone. He's talking. There's a 900 number, and he's talking to a caller. For those of you guys who don't know, back then you could pay money and call the wrestling's hotline and either get like gossip news, or I guess in this case, talk to Macho Man. Did you ever do this when you were a kid? Call one of those fucking 900 numbers?
I did in the 80s. It was a different at my grandma's place. It was like a Christmas hotline, or it wasn't a wrestling hotline. They used to have every like toy or every like character had like a 1-900 number you could call back in like the 80s. There was like
if you called it on your grandma's phone, she must have been pissed when she got her phone bill.
I said that I didn't call it, and
yeah, like who called WWF?
No, it was some Christmas. It was like some Santa Claus line.
Oh, it must have been expensive as fuck, dude.
It was because it was like hit like dial 1, press 1 if you want Santa to do this, press 2 if you want the other guy to do that. So and then it's like, oh, the story's over, you have to call again, and then you would just keep calling until you got to the end of like this audio. It would be like
they were like $3 a minute or some shit like that.
Even in the 80s, yeah, it was. Yeah. But it was like a long like audio adventure, basically.
Yeah, these are fucking expensive. Yeah, but anyway, Macho Man. If you call WWF's 900 number, you get to speak to Macho Man. He's talking to a fan, and Sean Mooney. Macho Man's on the phone, so he's too busy to talk to anybody at this moment. But they cut to Sean Mooney, and he is with Ted DiBiase and Sherry Martel, and they're talking about Virgil's match coming up. And Ted DiBiase cuts a very good heel promo. It's just like just your perfect heel, stereotypical heel promo.
Like, fuck that idiot, yeah.
Yeah, like, oh, Virgil, you should have never left me. Now you're going to lose. But don't worry, I got you one last gift. It's a fucking towel. Right?
He can wipe Ted DiBiase's sweat off.
Yeah. We're going to go to match number 4. The $1 million match. This is a match for the $1 million championship. This title is rarely put on the line, but it is here. It is Ted DiBiase, the champion, with Sherry versus Virgil. Virgil comes out strong right away, tags DiBiase right from the get-go. He's actually got more moves in his arsenal this time around than their WrestleMania match. Virgil even takes like a crazy bump. He fucking like slingshots off the fucking over the top rope, and he just falls flat on his face on the floor. It was a sick bump. After that, DiBiase puts most of the heat on Virgil and gets beating on him. And finally, Virgil does get the $1 million dream on DiBiase, his own finishing move. But Sherry hits him from behind with a loaded purse for the disqualification. But guess what, guys? Just when you think it's over, it's not. The referee says, no, Sherry, you got to fucking leave. I'm banning you from ringside, and the match is restarting. Fans get super hot into this. The match begins again. There's another ref bump, and DiBiase exposes one of the turnbuckles. But Virgil, when he goes to slam Virgil's head, Virgil slams DiBiase's head into it 2 times. And DiBiase's laying on his back on the mat, knocked out, and Virgil does this really slow crawl to make the cover. And he fucking makes the count, and he wins the fucking belt. This is probably Virgil's best match ever.
It's not even close. I haven't seen all of his matches. I never want to see all his matches. It probably never comes even close to how good this match is. Yeah, this match is fucking amazing. I was, after how bad WrestleMania 7 was, I was like, maybe I misremember this being good, because I remember this, and it was better. Like, this is another thing where this was better than I remember, and the crowd was so hot for it, bro.
Oh, that thing where they do a DQ in the middle and then go, no, it's not a DQ. Restart the match. That was perfect. I don't know whose idea was that to put that in, but that worked so well in this match. Why did they do this match at WrestleMania? Why did they decide to do it at SummerSlam?
Well, probably I think they wanted to keep it going so they could get 2 pay-per-views out of it. You know, if you rush it at WrestleMania, because Virgil wins this match and then nothing happens. He becomes a jobber.
That's fucking genius. Yeah.
And then he just,
right. If you do it here, you
can
stretch that out a couple more months. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. True.
I mean, the Virgil was given all the tools here to become a star, and he didn't at all. But but man, I mean, you can't say Vince didn't give him everything he needed tonight. And the crowd's behind him. The crowd was behind him. I don't know what happened after this.
This is the only Virgil match people should watch.
Yes.
If you want to know, if you go like, what is this Virgil guy that everyone keeps talking about? Like, why is he like always come up in wrestling conversations and name and stuff? This is the match you should watch. Just watch this match.
You know what, though? Remember I said, I don't know if you remember the WrestleMania 7 episode, I was like, Ted DiBiase, like, he didn't elevate Virgil. I think this match, he elevates Virgil. This is the match where he puts his working shoes on.
Yeah. Virgil, like, you're 100% right. Everybody at this point, everyone really does their best to put this guy over.
Yeah.
Vince, the booking, the company, they even give him entrance music, right? Everything. Oh, man. So,
I guess we'll see. We'll see what happens at Survivor Series, because I think he starts
you could shine a turd and put it on a pedestal. It'll still be a piece of turd.
I mean, but hey, he did his part. Not like he stood there like an idiot. He did his part.
Oh no, yeah, absolutely. He works his ass off in this match. That bump he's taking and the slow crawl. This match was excellent.
This is what I'll say to Virgil. I know he doesn't listen to this, and I when I met him, I found him very annoying. No matter anyone talks shit to you, they can never take this night away from you, because you proved at least once that you belong. You never proved it again.
Absolutely.
But you did prove it one night. And you did it at Madison Square Garden in the WWF. Sting never did that. Lex Luger never did that. The Steiners never did what you did. Like, you proved that you should get behind me, Vince McMahon. Tommy Rich never did it. Buzz Sawyer. And so no one can ever take that away from you. We can take a lot of other things away from you because you're annoying.
I would say hats off to Virgil for this match. We are 4 matches in, man, and so far 3 of them are fucking great.
And that's a banger show right there. Yeah,
it's a banger show right there. If this show's over right now, it'd be fucking great. Mean Gene Okerlund, he is with the Mountie, and the Mountie's with the fucking NYPD, and they recap the feud between Mountie and the Boss Man, and Mountie cuts a promo saying, like, basically what's gonna happen is this: they're both cops in a way, right? Mountie's a Canadian cop, fucking Boss Man's a Southern cop. And if one of them loses, one of them is spending a night in an NYPD prison or jail. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Sean Mooney, he's with Boss Man, and he cuts a quick promo on the Mountie, and this is going to go to match number 5, the jailhouse match. This was also one of the matches I really wanted to see when I was a kid. I know it's stupid. I really fucking wanted to watch this match. Mountie comes out with Jimmy Hart, and he's going against the Boss Man, and there is a long heat segment on Boss Man, which is not good at all. This is too fucking long. It's too fucking long. But Jimmy Hart distracts the referee, and Mountie gets his fucking cattle prod, but he misses the shock, and Boss Man hits his Boss Man slam, his finisher, but the Mountie kicks out. The fucking crowd does go aghast when the fucking Mountie kicks out of a finisher. I was like, what the fuck? He kicked out of the Boss Man slam. But the Boss Man then picks him right up and hits the Alabama slam for the win. Which is fucking weird. Like, why did they do this? This is like,
Yeah, Jack Rougeau. I feel like Jack Rougeau like had an ego, so he probably was like, he's gonna hit me with 2 finishers because I'm the Mountie.
you got me with 2 finishers, maybe.
Yeah. Especially because they imply he gets raped later, so I guess he's like, I gotta at least kick out of the finisher.
yeah. So
if I'm gonna get raped at the end of the show, I gotta at least kick out of Boss Man's finisher. I think that's a fair trade.
Yeah. As soon as this match is over, Boss Man calls over the cops. Cops come over and they cuff fucking Mountie and they fucking drag him away into an awaiting police car. What did you think about match number 5?
Another match that was better than I remember or expected. You didn't like it that much?
No, I did not like this match. I don't think something about Boss Man's matches, they bore the shit out of me.
Really? I guess you hate the Big Boss, but I thought this match was fine. I mean, you know, like it's the Mountie, but it really is. It's Jacques Rougeau. It's Jacques Rougeau wearing a vest, and I don't think much of him as a worker. But I thought this match was fine. Again, it's not the greatest, but it's better than I remember. So, and I like the skits later on. I honestly. The Mountie goes through so much at prison. I just would have been like, I just would have wrote the character off. I don't think the character kind of comes across as goofy when he comes back from this, because they kind of just bury him the entire time when he's in prison.
Something about, remember there was a Boss Man versus Barbarian I didn't really like either.
I like that match too.
Yeah, like something about this. I think it's because it's like when Boss Man's usually in his matches he's getting beat on. It's just not believable to me. I don't know why.
Well, when WWF,
that's where it is.
Besides Andre and Undertaker, when WWF turns a fat guy into a face, they somehow now the fat guy suddenly just getting the shit beat out of him, which I never understood. Why?
Yeah. I like him when he was a heel and he's beating on Hogan. I like that, but when he's like a good guy and he's like fucking selling and shit, I'm just like, I don't buy it. I just don't. He's huge.
Yeah, they did that
he's
too.
Like
you know who they did that
way bigger than fucking Mountie. It's just not believable to me. You know
who they did that with whenever he had a serious feud and it was horrible always was Great Khali. When Great Khali turned face, suddenly he can't get anything in.
Yeah.
When he's heel, he's beating fucking Shawn Michaels with one hit.
Yeah, and then the fucking karate chop, skull chop. Yeah.
Yeah. And then suddenly he can't get suddenly Dolph Ziggler is just like beating the shit out of him like he's a child. And I'm like, why is that the booking? Like, I understand like you want to get Dolph over, but why is now like Great Khali can't defend himself anymore?
Yeah, I agree.
Like,
it takes me out of it. So
yeah, but I feel like I think Boss Man's better worker than Great Khali. But yeah.
Oh, dude, I think Boss Man and the Mountie and Barbarian are not bad workers. It's just that like I can't, the combination I just can't get into.
That's a valid criticism.
Yeah, I would say now if you ask me, is this a bad match? I will disagree and say no, it's not a bad match. It's actually a pretty fair match. It's just that I just can't. Just because I can't get into it doesn't mean it's a bad match. I just can't get into it. It's not a bad match. But
I heard you hate the Boss Man.
I will say this. I fucking love the skits afterwards.
Oh, the skits are so funny. That's what makes the match.
Because the skits are a direct result of this match, I give this match a pass because of that.
Yeah. The skits are like so ridiculous.
Oh, it's so ridiculous. Like,
you know what?
I love that we're going to talk about them later.
You know what I wish they had done, because I kind of feel like this hurt Wardlow. I kind of feel like, you remember after when Wardlow won the feud, they should have had a bunch of sketches like this with MJF being humiliated in some way. Yeah, I think that would have got him over more. The fact that I think what hurt Wardlow, and no one wants to talk about this, the fact that MJF just walked out that Wednesday, didn't sell the loss, it just was calling Tony Khan a mark and a loser, and then quit.
Oh, of course,
and didn't acknowledge that he got destroyed, and then he even just got like he did so much damage to Wardlow. But if they had
doing a storyline right now where Wardlow hates him because of that, where Wardlow's the heel. So I'm okay with that. That they're actually trying to make lemonade out of lemons. So I'll give them credit to that.
But I
yeah,
think
that was
MJF, it would have been a lot of fun for MJF to go through sketches like this, where he's like in prison and like, they can still
yeah,
do it.
and you dude, you know what? Like, and the thing is, like, he's all about these stupid fucking sketches, so he probably would have been down for it too.
But these sketches were actually funny. That was the thing.
Yeah. Me and Gene Okerlund, he's in the back and he's talking when all of a sudden fucking DiBiase and Sherry fucking interrupt him. They complain about losing the fucking belt, and they're all mad. Then Sean Mooney is in the back and he is talking with the new Intercontinental Champion Bret Hart. This is the intermission part of the show, guys. We're gonna have interview all like in a row. Okay. Mean Gene, once again, we cut back to Mean Gene Okerlund. He's with Jimmy Hart and the Natural Disasters. Jimmy Hart's got his sunglasses off and he's nervous because one of his members of his stable, Mountie, is now in jail, and he's all worried. But the Disasters make it a point to threaten Legion of Doom about what just happened before.
Mm-hmm.
We cut back to Sean Mooney, and Sean Mooney's with the boss man who makes fun of the Mountie being in jail. Then we cut back to Mean Gene Okerlund. Cut in anytime you want, okay, by the way. Mean Gene Okerlund, he's now with Randy Savage, who's still on the fucking phone with a 900 number caller, and he can't talk to Gene. But then Gene mentions he's gonna go talk to Liz, and all of a sudden, fucking Randy grabs. It's like, "Well, you gonna talk to Liz? That's not gonna happen. You're gonna stay right here with me." Still doing the paranoia thing, which I like.
Mm-hmm.
Back to the commentators, and I like this part. Bobby Heenan starts saying that he's very suspicious about Sid Justice, who's gonna be the guest referee in the main event. He's like, I'm suspicious of this guy. Don't say much. Something's up. I'm telling you guys, something's up. And then right after this, we get our first segment of the Mountie arriving in a jail. And let me tell you, that's a dirty ass jail. He's fucking.
Yeah.
I think they were like, we need to find the dirtiest fucking jail in New York City possible. And they arrive in this jail, and Mountie's crying, and he's like, "Ah, my arm! You're hurting my arm!" and shit like that. We cut back to Sean Mooney, who is with Jimmy Hart and Nasty Boys, who cut a promo on the Legion of Doom. And we also see, after that, we see Mountie getting his photo taken. He doesn't want to get his photo taken. They say, "Hey, I heard you lost to the boss man." He puts his head up and they take his photo. Great fucking segment. You got to give Jacques Rougeau credit. He played this fucking role well.
Oh yeah, he's very, very funny in this. Yes.
Yeah, he's very good. I was a big fan of the Mountie growing up, and this guy, he really fucking did his best in this.
Mm-hmm.
Mean Gene Okerlund, he's with Legion of Doom about their street fight, the no disqualification match with the Nasty Boys coming up. And they do make a point to say, yo, the Natural Disasters, you want to pick on Andre, you pick on somebody your own side, blah, blah, blah. And so they're, sowing the seeds for that coming up as well. And then we go back to jail. And Mountie's getting his fingerprints taken. Tries to give him the finger. And then they use that finger to take fingerprints. Great. Then we cut back to Sean Mooney. He is with Sergeant Slaughter and his Triangle of Terror or some shit.
Yeah. Have you noticed they really scaled back on like their references to Iraq and Iran and Saddam?
Did they really think they could take like the Iron Sheik and just call him Colonel Mustafa and nobody would think he was Iron Sheik?
I think they explained it in commentary. My friend told me when I was a kid that they said like he was the Iron Sheik, but Saddam has made him a colonel and rechristened him.
Okay, all right, that's
so
fair.
Saddam reassigned him from being a Sheik to the Colonel Mustafa.
Okay, that's fair. Anyway, they're gonna be cutting a promo on Hulk Hogan and the Warrior, and then lastly we cut to Mean Gene Okerlund, who is with Sid Justice. And he's asking him if he's going to call it right down the middle. And he goes, of course I am. And he goes, well, what about this footage that we have over here? And they show you a footage of Sid Justice talking with the Triangle of Terror before the pay-per-view started. And Sid's like, what? That you don't see you didn't show the part where I was talking to before. They just approached me and everything. I liked it. I like that little Sid Vicious mystery thing that they're doing. Let's go to match number 6. It is a tag team street fight for the tag titles. Nasty Boys, the champions, with Jimmy Hart versus the Legion of Doom. There's a moment in this match where Sags, he sprays Hawk in the eyes with something, and fucking takes a tray of fucking soda from the outside and he fucking dumps it on one of the fucking and Hawk and shit. Sags is the only one like really making this a street fight, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
Everyone else is just having a wrestling match, and Sags like, no, I'm gonna fucking choke you with this cord. I'm gonna throw soda at you and shit. Like Jerry Sags, very underrated member of the Nasty Boys.
Yeah, they're both underrated. That the Nasty Boys as a whole are underrated.
Yeah, I would say so too. Legion of Doom, eventually, they are able to steal Jimmy Hart's helmet and they use it on the Nasty Boys, and then they hit the Doomsday device on Jerry Sags, who looks like he takes a nasty fucking fall. For the win, they are now the new tag champions. What do you think about this match?
It was good. It was fine. I'm not as a big Legion of Doom fan as I was when I was a kid, rewatching all these matches. At the time, that was very, very historic. This was a historic title win because they were the first guys to win the NWA, AWA, and WWF tag team title belts. So really,
wow,
and like they deserve, if any tag team from this era deserves all that distinction, they deserved it. So it was like a big deal, especially for like the smart fans, that they won this match, and good for them.
I've seen people rank Legion of Doom as the best tag team of all time.
I think for aura, yes, but when you actually watch these matches, I think they were great until like 87. I think WCW kind of ruined them.
If they are not the best tag team of all time, who is the best tag team of all time?
Heart. I would say Heart Foundation.
Young Bucks?
What?
Young Bucks?
No, fuck out of here. Bro, the Rougeos are better. I would say Heart Found. I think we had this Heart Foundation. I think.
You think they're the best tag team of all time, the Hart Foundation?
Yeah, and the British. I think Heart Foundation, British Bulldogs. I would even make a case for the Motor City Machine Guns because now it's been 20 years, and they still have great matches when they have matches. I would make a case for the Motor City Machine Guns being better than the Hardys. I think the Hardys are very overrated. The Dudleys, even though I don't like Bubba Ray, you got to give it to the Dudleys. Usos.
Where would you put the Rock and Roll?
I would put them. I would definitely put them probably like 10 or 11. The Usos have to be, even if they never team up again, the Usos have to be considered now in the top 5.
I do think Legion of Doom should be the best tag team of all time. They really changed the way.
I mean, in terms of drawing, yes, and in terms of like the impact they made.
Yeah, the impact they made.
But if we're just talking like,
you're probably not gonna believe this, but I think second or third would have to be the Bucks.
No.
As far as impact goes, yeah, they fucking changed a lot.
I can't. They're the worst.
Dude, they were like selling merch and they were not signed to like a big US company.
Well, listen, I'll give them that, but like that just shows
they influenced an entire generation. I'm not saying it's a good influence, but they did influence an entire style. But anyways.
But if you just ask me what I think the best tag, I also think the Brainbusters. I definitely, and I'm saying Legion of Doom is the top 10, but I think that the Heart Foundation to me is the best tag team of all time. So what a tag team.
I will say this: this is not the best match in the world, but it's kind of a fun match to watch if you want to watch the Nasty Boys and the Legion of Doom go at it.
I don't think they have that many matches after this. So
yeah. We turn to the Mountie getting put in a jail cell, and he's crying, and he's like, he's really selling it. And then we get a promo video for it's a Survivor Series. And then we're gonna go to match number 7, the penultimate match: IRS versus Greg the Hammer Valentine. Gorilla Monsoon during this match mentions that there's a rumor going around that Jake Roberts and the Undertaker are actually here.
Yeah,
and
Jake had just turned heel.
What?
Jake had just turned heel.
Yes, and Bobby Heenan does downplay it a lot, saying like, well, they don't have a match, so I don't know why they wouldn't be here, But it's gonna lead to something that's not gonna be on this actual pay-per-view.
So I when we get to the main event and the Macho Man thing, I have a theory. That I never thought until I feel like they were supposed to walk out and ruin the wedding.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about that when you want to talk about it when we get to the end.
Yeah. Because I never realized that Bobby Heenan said they're in the building. I never realized he did that until I was
Yeah,
watching this.
no. Gorilla Monsoon does that, and
Oh, okay,
Bobby
but I'm saying like I
Heenan.
never realized like the commentators say
Yeah. So and Bobby Heenan, like as a heel, he's downplaying it, going, "That's not. It's just a rumor. Where'd you hear that? Who'd you hear that from? Because they don't have a match, so why would they be here? All that shit."
yeah.
So I like that, by the way. I do like that. Um, this is, by the way, the first time I'm seeing IRS here in WBF. Now, I will say this: when I was younger, I after this he goes back to WCW eventually and goes back to Michael Wall
Not
Street.
for years,
Right?
not for years.
Yeah, but when I saw that, I was like, oh, it's to rip off of IRS when actually Michael Wall Street technically came first,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Which do you like better, IRS or Michael Wall Street?
I hate IRS. I also I don't like either one. I guess I would say IRS because it was around longer. Dude, I can't believe, dude, he lasts as IRS until the middle of 1995. So he 2, 3, 4. He
You didn't
lasts
like IRS?
what?
You didn't like IRS?
No, but I can't believe how long he lasts as IRS. He's there for years and years, even after they move on from all this like shit. He's still there as IRS. It's fucking
Yeah,
insane.
because he plays it so well, dude.
I hate IRS.
I love that he was like one of the few guys who just came out to no music and he would just be going on his boring rant about taxes. And I knew like the purpose of this is like you're never gonna like you're never supposed to like this guy. He's just talking
Yeah.
about taxes all the time. And I was like, this is perfect, you know? I like the IRS. I have a fond memory of him. And he wins this match with a small package. Um,
This match was so boring, dude. The crowd, it was silent. This crowd has been on fire all night long. This match starts, you could hear a fucking pin drop, dude, all the way in.
Yeah, I think it was a match designed just to get IRS over.
I also think it was also like to give people the chance to like get ready for the main event. Like,
yeah, go to the bathroom and all that shit, you know.
go get your last beer before Hogan comes out. Yeah.
Yeah, this match definitely shouldn't have been on this thing, but I get why it's there. Like,
I mean, I get why it's they always like schedule. I think Vince, Bruce Pritchard said they always schedule a match, like a popcorn match. Like in other words, like people can't sit there for like 4 hours. They need like a match to like you now can walk around, and that way energy's back up for the match they really give a shit. You're really the stuff you're really supposed to give a shit about. And I totally get why it's there, but I didn't like it. It was very boring.
It's a check spot.
That's what it is.
Mean Gene Okerlund, he is in the back and he's talking to Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan about their match made in hell. And fucking, they're in this promo, they're talking about the Cobra bites and saying, eating Cobra bites gonna. Did something happen with a Cobra before this?
Yes, also so the Ultimate Warrior, Jake the Snake was training Ultimate Warrior how to fight Undertaker, and then Jake the Snake turns on him, locks him in a room with a Cobra, and the Cobra bites Ultimate Warrior. So what's happening is, in my mind as a kid, in the viewer's mind, not knowing what's going on between Vince and Warrior, it's going to be a Warrior Jake the Snake feud next. And Jake the Snake was told before SummerSlam 91, you're going to feud Ultimate Warrior and you're going to make a ton of money. You guys are going to main event everywhere, all the house shows.
Yeah, because before Ultimate Warrior gets fired, they are scheduled to have a feud, those two. Yeah.
Yes. And so what we learned in the future, we learned that Warrior won't walk out until Vince gives him a check. He wants a check. Vince gives him the check, and then
let's give people some more background on this.
Okay.
The argument between Ultimate Warrior and Vince McMahon is about the payoff for WrestleMania 7.
Yes.
Ultimate Warrior is basically saying he should have gotten paid X amount extra because wrestlers get a bonus from the pay-per-view match that they're in, right? An appearance. And I think it was like a crazy amount of money. It was like 6 figures, wasn't it?
Yeah, he wasn't going to walk out. He was not going to walk out.
Yeah, so he wasn't getting this money that he felt he was owed. So he basically said to Vince McMahon, what did he say to Vince McMahon, basically?
Give me the fucking check right now or I'm not walking out.
Yeah, or by meaning that I am not performing on this pay-per-view.
And he's doing it like he's doing it while like Slaughter's walking out.
Wow. So yeah, this is like right before the main event, basically.
Yeah.
Right? Wow. This is he's doing this right before. Okay.
So Vince gives him the check, I don't know if he put it down his pants. He put it somewhere, but Vince
Up
gives
his
him the
ass.
check. Now, here's the weird moment, and now that we know this, Hogan's music plays, nothing happens, and then Hogan walks out. Hogan is looking behind him. He looks not in character, and then he snaps into character. I think that Vince told Hogan, "I'm going to fire this fucking guy. We're changing the finish. Tell Warrior to chase them to the back." I think he was telling Hogan exactly what he was going to do, and Hogan's like, "Oh fuck, this could be a situation." You know what I mean? So because they play the music and Hogan doesn't walk out, and the announcers are not selling it, like how come Hogan's not walking out? I think like Vince is telling Hogan like this is.
Giving him instructions on what's gonna happen.
Yeah, because Hogan looks a little like what he looks like real like a little like what the fuck, and then he starts doing the yeah brother.
Dude, I gotta fucking see that. I gotta. I
He
remember.
opens the curtain and he's still looking behind him as if someone's shouting something to him, and he's okay. And then he like looks to the crowd. He looks a little weird, and then he starts doing his Hogan shit.
I gotta see that. Okay.
So
right, anyway,
because when the Warrior got to the back, Vince fires him. Vince says, "Get the fuck."
Okay. Yeah. We're gonna get into it. This is match number 8. Match made in hell. Sid Justice comes out first. He is a special guest referee. And then it's gonna be a match against Sergeant Slaughter, Mustafa Ali.
Mustafa Ali comes back in time
Yeah.
to fight for Saddam. What a nice guy.
I fucking wrote Mustafa Ali in my fucking
notes. What if like a portal opened and Mustafa Ali jumped out? I'm like, I'm from the future.
I fucking wrote Mustafa Ali. And
like
Colonel Adnan versus Hogan and Warrior. You know what I was thinking when I was watching this? Man, WWF in 1991, they had Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, Macho Man, The Undertaker, Ric Flair, Steamboat, Sid Justice, all under the fucking roof, all in one sitting. What a fucking year, bro.
Well, Ric Flair wasn't there yet. I think he was still like he wasn't in the
Yeah, but the fact that they're like it's still within the fucking year, right? Isn't that crazy? The amount we're not even talking like Bret Hart because he hasn't reached that main event level yet.
I don't understand why Ricky Steamboat would because I kind of feel like Vince eventually would have done Ricky Steamboat Ric Flair feud. And like I don't understand why Ricky Steamboat like asked to leave again, but I mean I'm sure that stupid wife put it in his ear to leave.
Yeah, because like when I realized like, oh my god, Ricky Steamboat is still here while Ric Flair is here, I'm thinking it's gonna eventually lead to you know
because I feel like after Ric Flair got over his feud with Macho Man and Mr. Perfect, they would have been like, oh, like they wouldn't have been the main event, but they'd be like, oh, you guys like in '93, you guys gonna match at SummerSlam. You guys gonna be in the opening match. You guys will have a feud all summer. Like, why not? You know?
Yeah, like it would be like it's kind of a missed opportunity to not do this match, really. You know,
but
I'm not saying it's gotta. I'm
not saying
it's
didn't give them enough time.
Yeah, it's. I'm not saying it's got a headline WrestleMania, but yeah, like not to do it is kind of stupid.
I mean, but anyway. You imagine like WrestleMania 9 or like or SummerSlam '93. That's on the card. People would have loved it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Anyways, during Warrior's entrance, Bobby Heenan goes, "Here's Captain Schizo." I fucking laugh so much. So funny.
It's probably like there's probably like more not just about him being in the ring, probably in the back, because it's probably like Vince probably whispered in their ear what he did, and they're like, because he probably like acted like an idiot when he was doing it. You know what I mean? You know, so like this fucking idiot.
Warrior voice. Mm-hmm. They think he went to Vince McMahon. He was like, "Death on the heavens! If you do not give me my payoff, the Warriors will not be watching." During Hogan's entrance, we get a shot of superfan Vladimir going ape shit for Hogan. Dude, we're probably the only podcast that we mention Vladimir on the regular. Every time we fucking see him, we mention him.
And his documentary came out. They didn't promote it.
Documentary came out a couple of days ago, man. You watched it? I watched it. Let's talk about that just briefly here for a second.
Okay. It is at first it's a really like nice trip throughout the 80s and 90s for me. And then it gets very sad, very depressing.
Yeah.
And it ends like really It's a very depressing documentary. I get why they didn't want to promote it.
Yes,
It
100%.
took a turn I don't think they thought it was gonna go.
It's not a good look for wrestling in general. The
Yeah.
turn it takes. Yeah, it makes wrestling look like, oh, this could be an addiction. Like somebody could fall into it. It's not really It's not WWF's fault, but it takes a dark turn.
It,
Now, in the near the beginning of the documentary, they talk about the rumors of what Vladimir was. Which rumors did you hear growing up? Because I heard he was Vince McMahon's trainer. I did
I
hear that.
never heard that. I heard that he was friends with someone. I heard he had an in. Somebody was just giving him tickets. One time, I think Ringside John asked him, and he goes, "I have friends in a lot of key places." That's what he said. The truth is, this guy just took all his money and spent it on tickets. He didn't.
Yeah,
He didn't have a home.
that's the hard truth. He's not a trainer, he's not a bodyguard, he doesn't have friends in high places. All his money that he makes
And his time.
spends it on fucking wrestling tickets. He doesn't have a family. He's 65 probably now. And
Probably he lives in an apartment that probably he got in 1980. That was probably cost nothing in 1980. Still costs nothing now. Notice they only show like one room and it's like a closet. He probably
it's small. They show you the fucking doorbell on the fucking. It's like a decrepit old doorbell with Vladimir scratched into it.
yeah.
It's a very dark, small. Yeah, they show you like literally one room in a hallway because they were like, we can't show the rest of this apartment. It's too depressing, right?
Yeah, so this guy probably lives like a tenement apartment that was like a shithole in the 70s and probably never. There's people that live like this in Manhattan. It's like
Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah.
And I think he just worked to see wrestling. I think he had two expenses. I think he had three. I'll give him three: eating, going to wrestling, and taking care of his mom. That was it. He didn't do anything else.
Yes. So this is like it was like a very this is what wrestling is. Sometimes like we have such like in our heads we have such fantasies of like, oh, it must be like because you look when I was a kid growing up, I would look at this guy and be like, man, it must be so great to be like this guy getting to see front row at every wrestling show. Because you see super fans now who do that, and you're like, man, I wish I could be like this guy. How does he get tickets? He must know somebody. When in reality, he's just spending all his money on tickets and basically ruining his life. That's the reality of it, you know?
I mean,
fucking very jarring.
Well, here's the thing. Okay, so Vladimir didn't get married, he didn't have kids, but he probably had more fun at some of these Raw tapings than we do doing whatever we do. So it's like, did he really ruin his life? Like, do you think how much happier would he have been if he got married and had two like miserable kids?
No, I'm not saying he should have, but like maybe spend a little more money on like, I don't know. I could imagine him going to like Madison Square Garden, come back home to his roaches and being like, "Oh man, brother, you should have been at the Garden tonight. Hogan was really on." So, like the fucking rats and the fucking roaches. Oh, it was terrible. Oh my god.
But you know what? But that's my thing is like maybe like Tim is like it's worth like like fucking having bed bugs to go to WrestleMania 8. I don't know. Like you know what I'm saying?
No,
like
it 100%.
it's
100%.
worth it. And it's like, okay, so he gets a better apartment. He marries like some fucking like fat broad. How much better? I mean, like, it's like, oh, my kid is now a doctor, but it's like, but you didn't get to see Bret Hart beat Mr. Perfect, so I think he won.
I used to see this guy sit front row at like Ring of Honor shows too.
Mm-hmm.
So like, he was like sitting front row at a lot of. Remember we saw him in WCW.
Dude, but you know what? The one company he didn't go to, and I'm wondering why. This should have been a question. He never went to like the original ECW. He wouldn't. He just didn't. Maybe he hates Jews. I don't know. He doesn't like Paul Heyman.
Yeah, I wonder why he didn't. Because it's not like
that's the easiest one to go to.
Yeah, it's easy. It's Philly. It's not that far.
But they also had shows in Queens, so
yeah. I wonder why
really easy to get. It was really easy to get good seats. I don't. He didn't.
He didn't go to ECW shows.
He didn't. That was the one company. That's what I haven't looked. We'll look when we start covering it. Maybe like he kind of thought like, oh, this is like very disrespectful. Maybe he like thought it was like too much. Like maybe he's not like a deathmatch guy. Because
He
I
goes,
saw him at Impact.
This is beneath me.
Dude, he was at the 2014 when remember the Dixie Carter got put through the table?
Yeah.
I was at that taping, he was there, and people were taking photos with him. And when Devon walked out, Devon went over and gave him a big hug. That's the first time I saw him in person. Devon like stopped and went and hugged him, and Bubba Ray too. They went and hugged him. So he was good. He went to Impact.
There's a picture of Vladimir at the ECW like one night stand. So
he did go to that, but that doesn't count because that's a WWF event. It was approved by his master Vince. So
yeah, that's funny. That is too funny. Anyways,
yeah.
Oh man, Vladimir. Yeah,
CW is too small time for me. I only go to like I'm a big.
Yeah, like oh, this shit's too gory. That gives wrestling a bad look. So this match, Sid Justice, he is the referee, and to his credit, he is a very fair referee. But he's just too intense. He's intense about everything. Right?
Yeah.
Sergeant Slaughter, he swings. There's a moment where Slaughter swings Hogan into Sid Justice.
Yeah.
And they have like a really cool stare down, and you can hear the audience go like, "Oh, like they fucking want to see this." And then there's this moment where Warrior runs into Sid Justice as well, and then they do another cool stare down as well, and the audience is like, "Oh, dude, I loved Sid Justice. I thought this guy was the coolest fucking thing in the world."
Best.
Yeah, and because you know what, he's humongous. Like
he hugs.
Huge.
Did you see when he wins the title a few years from now? He hugs Vlad. He wins the title.
He hugs it.
He hugs Vlad. He goes over to Vlad and hugs them on the way out.
Oh yeah. He, I think a lot of wrestlers really did like Vladimir. You know, like they legit liked him. Yeah. Anyways, Warrior. Basically, what ends up happening at the end of this match, Warrior, he picks up a chair and he chases Adnan and Mustafa Ali back to the back. He chased them to the back to get fired, basically. While Sid is distracted, Hogan grabs some salt and he throws it into Sergeant Slaughter's eyes, and then he fucking does a leg drop for the win. And I'm like, Hogan cheated? I was like, he fucking cheated.
I think they changed. I have a feeling they got to the ring and Hogan was like, "Hey, we changed the finish. You're gonna chase Colonel Mustafa to the back." And then Warrior's probably like, "Okay."
So, and then you said you had a theory.
Yeah. So my theory is that the whole end of the show is supposed to be completely different. I think that Warrior and Hogan were supposed to pose in there. So let's say Warrior's like, "You know what? We'll take care of the money later. I trust you, Vince." Right? I think Warrior and Hogan are supposed to pose in the ring after they win. That all three of them pose, and then I think during the wedding, in the arena, not at this after party, Jake and the Undertaker attack Randy Savage, and Warrior and Sid and maybe even Hogan come to save them, and that sets off the fall. And what I think happened was when Warrior did what he did, and he's like, "Just get the fuck out of this building." They're like, "We'll just have the wedding happen naturally, and then we'll film this reception thing and show it on Superstars." And then when we film this reception thing, because they could have filmed it any day, they didn't. When we film this reception deal, we can also say because it's on the VHS, on the original VHS, the reception attack. Is it on Peacock? The attack at the reception or no? Just
not in the SummerSlam 1990.
Yeah, because so like when you end SummerSlam when it was live, it ended and you're like, "Oh, they got married." And then on Superstars, Vince suddenly goes like, "There was this big commotion at the reception," and then they show you on the show. I think it was supposed to be in the ring. That's what, because why would you say Jake, this thing, Undertaker in the building? But so I think Jake and Undertaker were supposed to come out and stop the wedding, and it was supposed to be this big fucking battle around the arena, establishing Jake as like the top bad guy in the company, and then he switched plans. Because why would you? Because it's not like Macho Man had his reception inside Madison Square Garden. Like logically, they went somewhere else and had the reception.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair. It is kind of. Why would they mention Undertaker and Jake Roberts being at the arena, right?
Yeah, because they want you to know that they're going to come out.
Yeah.
They want to build anticipation. But I think Vince was like, he just nixed it after what Warrior did.
I think that's a very good theory. I think I wonder if Bruce Pritchard ever talks about that.
He wasn't there. He was
Oh,
fired.
he wasn't.
Yeah.
Man.
No
Man, I
one
would
talks. But like, the more like now that we know all this stuff that was happening in the back, we know Jake was promised this. So I think it was supposed to set up a fall feud of Jake versus Warrior, Hogan versus Taker, and then those two feuds lead to Macho Man having to come back to get revenge on Jake. And they didn't, and then they changed everything around because it would make more sense for Hogan and Taker to have a match at Survivor Series if Hogan and Warrior run out to save Macho Man Elizabeth.
Yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely. And if you're gonna change plans, it makes sense to film this segment where they open up a president of the Cobra in there because it automatically now steps up
Savage and Roberts.
Savage and Roberts, exactly.
And then you have Sid Justice show up. So now instead of Warrior and Jake, it's now Sid Justice and Jake. And so yeah, I have a feeling when I watched the show, when I saw what Hogan did, I had this feeling that like, oh, something was supposed to happen. Because also Roddy Piper can be like, you're not gonna ruin this. And every wrestling wedding, but this one gets ruined. Yeah. And this was the big, and I'm just thinking to myself, he wouldn't just have a regular wedding and the pay-per-view. He probably did this to just kickstart a big angle to sell Survivor Series. And then when Warrior ruined, he says, fuck it, we'll just have a regular wedding. Like, who gives a shit?
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
After this match, we go back to the Mountie in jail. And he's in a jail cell with two other guys. And one guy's like, hey, you want to fight my buddy? My buddy's over there. And he points at another guy. And the other guy, he's just like a gay biker. And fucking Mountie goes like, oh my God. And he starts screaming.
Yeah. He's like, no.
Man. These segments were funny. I thought Mountie was great. This is a great way to fucking put a bow on that fucking little thing too. It was funny.
So the rest of the show is just the wedding. I did like the video package though.
Yeah, they do a recap of Macho Man proposing. Then they do a music video tribute to the both of them. And then Macho Man comes down for the wedding, followed by Liz. And I guess the only thing to really note about this wedding is Bobby Heenan says the ring bearer is really a midget, which
I burst out laughing at that. That's my thing. I just feel like he did this whole setup to do an angle. Like I just feel like
he did this whole thing just for that one joke.
Yeah. No, I'm saying Vince. I just feel like there was supposed to be a major angle in the arena with Undertaker and.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. It's just a normal wedding. They get married, fans cheer, and that's the end. They live it. Everything ends in a happy ending. But yeah, most likely it was supposed to be something else. But overall, I would say this was a very enjoyable pay-per-view. I would eat here again, 100%.
You would eat there again at SummerSlam?
Yeah, I would eat there again. Yeah.
It was really good. Even the wedding, just being a normal wedding, doesn't really hurt it. It's fine. It's like I do think that would have put it over the top if like Undertaker's like choke slamming the Macho Man. Well, he didn't do the choke slam yet, but like like Jake the Snake DDT's the Macho Man and Elizabeth, and then all of a sudden Hogan and Warrior come out and like the Mega Powers reunite. I do think that would have been an amazing like. But hey, listen, Warrior did what he did, and Warrior he's never the same after this for me. I don't think he should have done that. I think he would have been around for years after that. If he had just not, maybe like, and I don't know, maybe Vince was just fucking around with his money like for months, but I don't think he should have. I don't know. It was just Warrior was never the same after this. Even they bring him back, it's not the same. 96 comes back, it's not the same. In the 98, he's definitely. It's just never the same. It's just never as good as it was.
Yeah, it's but overall. Recommend watching this SummerSlam 1991 to people. It's a great nostalgia trip, and you will enjoy this more than you will hate it. I would say.
No, there's nothing to hate really. No,
some matches.
Greg Valentine. All right. So the next 4 weeks. Next week, Halloween. Halloween may be over, but it's not really over because we have Halloween Havoc 91 next week, which is Lex Luger versus Ron Simmons. Then in 2 weeks, we have Survivor Series 91, which is Hulk Hogan versus Undertaker. In 3 weeks, this Tuesday in Texas, which is Hulk Hogan and Undertaker 2. And then in a month, we have Starrcade 91, which is the Battle Bowl tournament. Which one are you excited for?
Wait, isn't there supposed to be like something in Texas Tuesday?
I said that 3 weeks this Tuesday in Texas. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah. I actually want to see Survivor Series now because now that I've gotten the Bret Hart, Mr. Perfect, I really wanted to watch SummerSlam 1991, but now that that's out of the way, I want to see what happens with Hogan versus the Undertaker because I don't think I've ever watched this match as well.
I've never seen this show, and it's time. I've waited now 32 years. It's fucking time. Let's watch.
32 years. It is fucking time. Absolutely.
And I almost wish like we were doing Halloween Havoc, but also I've never seen Halloween Havoc, so that's also 32 years. I've never seen this particular Halloween.
Actually,
Havoc.
I've never. Yeah, I've never.
The only thing I've seen of these next 4 shows is this Tuesday in Texas, which I did watch because Hogan won. That's a pretty good show, and it's very short. So
yeah.
All right,
guys.
guys.
It's interesting that we're both excited to see the fucking next one. No, I mean not next, but the same one. You know, Survivor Series.
Guys, so if you're here in the Patreon, I know it's different. You're probably like, what the hell? But this is how it's going to be. We're going to have more fun stuff for you. And if you're just listening to us on YouTube or the main feed and you want to support the podcast, there's 2 tiers, $1 and $5. $1, I think $1 is a nice little tip a month for this. The Patreon is patreon.com/gootscomedy, and we're going to be having some more stuff on there. Follow me on TikTok, Ray Goots Comedy. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Ray Goots. Andrew Lee, Andrew Son of Lee on Instagram. But you don't really update that, right?
Not really.
Well, you're Andrew Lee, bro. And we will see you next week for Halloween. Hey, listen, it's November, but it's still fucking Halloween because next week is Halloween Havoc 91. We'll see you then. Thank you, Andrew Lee, bro.